Hello, viewers. Welcome back to the second season of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, which has been something of a mixed experience. At times, the show leans heavily into over-the-top humor, occasionally drifting into territory that feels almost like slapstick comedy. In other moments, however, it delivers surprisingly emotional and thoughtful storytelling that resonates on a deeper level. Because of this fluctuation, the season hasn't always felt consistent in tone. Some episodes prioritize exaggerated comedic situations, while others slow things down and focus more on the emotional journeys of the characters. Season 2, Episode 11 falls firmly into the latter category. Instead of relying primarily on gags or broad humor, the episode takes a more heartfelt approach, exploring the characters' personal struggles and relationships with a bit more sincerity. This shift in tone is particularly encouraging, especially considering that the episode arrives right as the season begins to move into its latter half. If this installment is any indication, the remainder of the season may lean more heavily into emotional storytelling while still maintaining the comedic elements that define the series. One of the most compelling aspects of Episode 11 is its continuation of what has arguably been the most engaging storyline of the season so far, Jim's retirement. While the series is clearly centered on the relationship between Georgie and Mandy, something that is quite literally spelled out in the title, it often feels strongest when it expands its focus to include the experiences of the supporting characters. Jim's arc in particular has added a layer of realism and emotional depth to the show that elevates it beyond a simple sitcom. Watching Jim navigate retirement has been one of the most relatable and thoughtful storylines presented this season. Even though I'm personally nowhere near the stage of life where retirement becomes a concern, the emotions Jim experiences are easy to understand. For years, his identity has been closely tied to his career. His daily routine, his sense of purpose, and even the structure of his life have all revolved around the work he did. Without the daily responsibilities and goals that once defined their routine, retirees can find themselves wondering how to fill their time or what direction their life should take next. The show captures that feeling remarkably well through Jim's storyline. From the beginning, this arc has stood out as one of the most interesting parts of the season. It provides an opportunity to explore themes that sitcoms don't always spend much time on, such as identity, purpose, and the challenges that come with major transitions in life. Instead of presenting retirement as an instant source of relaxation and happiness, the show acknowledges that it can also be complicated and even unsettling. Episode 11 represents a natural continuation of this narrative. Rather than resolving Jim's uncertainty quickly or turning it into a purely comedic situation, the episode allows the storyline to evolve in a way that feels authentic. Jim is still trying to figure out what his life should look like now that he's no longer defined by his career. He wants to stay active and involved, but he hasn't quite figured out how to channel that energy into something meaningful yet. This ongoing search for purpose is what makes the storyline so engaging. It feels real. Many people who retire face the exact same dilemma. After years of working long hours and structuring their lives around their jobs, they suddenly have far more free time than they're used to. While that freedom might initially seem appealing, it can quickly become overwhelming if they don't have a clear sense of what they want to do next. Jim's attempts to adjust to this new phase of life also create some interesting dynamics within his marriage to Audrey. One of the more amusing yet believable aspects of the episode involves Audrey's reaction to Jim's newfound availability. Since he's no longer working, Jim suddenly has far more time to spend at home, and much of that time is directed toward being with Audrey. Audrey and Jim's relationship appears to function best when there's a bit of space between them during the day. When Jim was working, the natural separation created by their daily routines allowed them to miss each other and appreciate the time they spent together in the evenings. That balance helped maintain a sense of harmony in their relationship. Now that Jim is home all the time, that balance has shifted dramatically. Audrey quickly discovers that having her husband around constantly can be a bit overwhelming. Jim's eagerness to spend time together, while well-intentioned, begins to feel excessive. Instead of creating warm, romantic moments, the constant proximity leads to small irritations and misunderstandings. Jim simply wants to enjoy his retirement and share more time with his wife. Audrey, on the other hand, values the independence and personal space that their previous routine allowed her. Both perspectives are understandable, which makes their conflict feel grounded and realistic rather than exaggerated for comedic effect. The episode also underscores an important truth about long-term relationships. Sometimes, a little distance can actually strengthen the bond between two people. Having separate activities, interests, and routines allows each partner to maintain a sense of individuality. When they come back together, they have new experiences to share and a renewed appreciation for each other's company. Another reason this storyline works so well is that it provides a nice contrast to the central relationship between Georgie and Mandy. While Georgie and Mandy are still navigating the early stages of their marriage and building their life together, Jim and Audrey represent a couple who have already spent many years together. Their experiences offer a glimpse into what long-term partnership can look like, both the joys and the occasional frustrations. By juxtaposing these two relationships, the show adds an extra layer of depth to its storytelling. Georgie and Mandy's journey focuses on learning how to grow together, while Jim and Audrey's storyline explores how couples adapt to new phases of life after decades of partnership. The continuation of Jim's retirement storyline is particularly encouraging because it suggests that the series is willing to invest in longer character arcs rather than relying solely on standalone comedic plots. Watching Jim gradually figure out what retirement means for him and how it affects his relationships adds a sense of continuity to the season. If episode 11 is any indication, the second half of the season might continue exploring these deeper emotional threads while still delivering the humor that fans expect. The episode proves that Georgie and Mandy's first marriage can be at its strongest when it focuses not just on jokes, but on the authentic experiences and relationships that shape its characters' lives. Ultimately, the episode serves as a reminder that even in a lighthearted sitcom, stories about change, identity, and relationships can resonate strongly with viewers. Jim's struggle to adjust to retirement and Audrey's reaction to their new dynamic provide a storyline that feels both genuine and relatable, making episode 11 one of the more memorable entries in the season so far. Don't forget to like, share, and comment for more recaps on Bullseye Movies.